Hello and welcome back to Dare and Doing. I'm Will Hester and I'm joined by the brilliant Ben Bowman. Ben,
Yeah.
how you doing, mate? Good.
Very good, thank you. I feel like these people who's probably going to be watching the podcast be like, why are they in HD? What's happened? We fucked Streamlabs off, all right?
Yeah.
Streamlabs is gone. There's no more shitty potato quality on the podcast on YouTube anymore. So if that doesn't deserve a subscribe, then I don't know what does. Yeah. We are back in HD.
We are back.
And matching as well. We've come dressed as two Sky Sports News pundits
Absolute
today.
studs, mate. Well, I'm going commando, look. Just to prove I have hit puberty, I've got a couple of pubes on my chest.
Let's get some double chest hair on there. Whoa! Come on, ladies. We got a question from a menopausal woman who said we speak too fast. So that was for you, love.
I was going to say, I can't remember what I was going to... Oh, yeah, you mentioned the subscribers, yeah?
Yeah.
Everyone, massive thank you. Like, honestly, thank you so much. We've hit 1,000 subscribers. Crazy, because I wasn't expecting it to be so soon.
Unreal.
So good, and honestly, we couldn't do this without the messages and the community we've built, because it is actually incredible and it's so wholesome and it means so much, and it is a proper motivator, especially when Spurs are so shit and like have been playing so shit like recently. Just to have this community, be able to like vent and have you all have your input, it's just like been incredible. So everyone, thank you so much.
Yeah, absolute
genuinely.
legends.
And
absolute
that's like
legends.
our first milestone. So if you haven't subscribed and you do enjoy the podcast, hit the subscribe button. On Spotify, over on Spotify, we're trying to reach 1,000. So hit the follow, rate us 5 stars, and hit the auto download if you want to, because that will spread us on the algorithm and get that awareness. Or share it to a friend if you think there's going to be a Spurs fan friend that's going to enjoy the content and the podcast. Then yes, spread it. Spread the word.
You can also leave comment if you want to leave comments as well. If you want to leave comments on Spotify, you can do that. I know we ask for questions and stuff on Twitter, but if you want to do it on Spotify, you can leave some there for the next episode, or like any thoughts on anything we've said. We can always go back to it and chat. So yeah.
But it was incredible. It was incredible when we hit it. We hit it live on Ben's channel.
Yeah,
and if you were part of that, thanks, because that was incredible. That was so funny.
Let us know in the comments if you were in that stream, because that was hilarious.
That was so good, mate. That was literally... We were only supposed to do like 45 minutes, and then the Tell News hit like 45 minutes in.
Yeah.
That whole dopamine was incredible. It was ridiculous. It was just 2 hours of like pure dopamine. Maybe not 2 hours, but you know what I mean. Even after, you said you were just sat in your chair, just like shaking.
I was crashing after the pot, and then we got like some Van der Ven news, and then Tell signed, and we were down, and we were back up, and it was like
absolute roller coaster. But yeah, everyone, thank you so much. It is incredible. So thank you so much for that. Let's get straight into the Brentford game, because we haven't, and we're gonna sort of brush past it.
Yeah.
Because we got some big things to get onto. We're gonna get into the
big game
transfer
tomorrow.
window.
Big game.
Massive game tomorrow against Liverpool. Like, the importance of this is monumental. But the Brentford game, we haven't spoken about it yet. I just think it was a win that we just... I weren't expecting us to win. I genuinely wasn't expecting anything to happen. And I'd sort of come to the conclusion. And I actually thought I was a bit defeatist, a bit of a fucking wimp on the last pod, because I was saying how I've kind of accepted that we probably will drop points. Away to Brentford. Brentford's home record is incredible. We turned up and no one expected us to do what we did. Jamie Carragher was giving it the big and saying there's Dr. Tottenham, all this cringy stuff that Sky Sports narrative always run. But like, we turned up, it was an ugly win, we got the job done, and it was pivotal because we needed a win to keep the momentum. The last week, the momentum we've been building, considering Liverpool is coming up really quickly, that win away from home, it was scrappy, it was hard fought, it was dogged. That's exactly what we needed. It was exactly what we needed. And actually, I think it surprised a few people in terms of what we're capable of doing. Because, I mean, we've had a few performances like that where we part the bus a little bit, we're scrappy, we're defending for our lives. The XG, we've been blown out the water XG-wise from the opposition. Yeah, we hit them on the counter a few times and we score and we win. So,
did you not think the XG was a little bit inflated, though? Because I think it was something like...
Well, they didn't really have a proper chance, did they, Brentford?
No, it was like obviously the one that... Let me just get it up. What it was? I think it was like 2. We basically lost 2-1 on XG. Let me see if I can show you. We're moving up in the world. Look at this. Look at this technical quality on this. Come on. This is what you don't get. This is what you're getting now with Darren doing, baby. Yeah, we basically lost 2-1 on
subs, mate. We're moving up.
Yeah, we basically lost 2-1 on XG, which is
like.
not too bad. But it was like, yeah, I thought it was slightly inflated. They had 20 shots. It was almost like the crossings, like the number of crosses were like massively inflated because it was like Ange said after the game, like obviously Sky moved on so quickly straight to the Gooner Man City game. But it was like they showed a really quick interview with Ange, with the woman that was interviewing him, and she said to him like, "Oh, you know, Ange, obviously a lot of crosses coming in that second half under pressure." And Ange was like, "Yeah, you know, but they didn't really have a proper chance, and also like we got first contact on most of those crosses. Like they kept showing the graphics on the screen, and they kept going, Brentford are really piling on the pressure. And, like we'd be lying if we can't sit here and say that we weren't under pressure because that's not true. We absolutely were.
Yeah,
but it was like." Come on, lads. It was all so overblown, and it was just like the pundits had made their mind up before the game, and they're probably more interested in having a laugh 100%. With each other rather than what was actually going on. And I really respect Jamie Carragher as a pundit and as a guy. I've met the bloke, you know. He's a nice guy and knows what he's talking about. That's what made it quite disappointing, I think, what was going on. It was just clearly that they weren't really that interested in the Spurs game. And they were kind of just giggling to each other, like when they were going, "Oh yeah, I hope Dr. Tot," because like Dave Jones was trying to go, you know, well, you've said this about Tottenham before the game, and like he's a bit annoying as well. But like he was trying to say to Carragher, like, you said this about Spurs before the game, you know, they're 1-0 up at half time. Jamie, are you gonna? And he was like, and he just wouldn't have it. And he was like, well, he just wanted to be proved right rather than like. It was so frustrating. I've spoken about this so many times, so I'm blue in the face. And look, maybe it makes us seem like babies going on about it, but it was just like when you're watching, when you've got watching that game with like so much anxiety anyway, because it's like, we need to win. We need this so bad. It was just nice to go like at the end of the game, like, come on and fuck you to them. Like, get the fuck in there, you know?
Well, that thing about Dave Jones, the
presenter,
presenter. I really like him unless he's talking about Tottenham because I think this is a theme with with Sky Sports, the narratives. It must be a producer thing, I'm guessing, but the presenters, there's always, whenever they're talking about Tottenham, there's always a what's it called? Why have I just gone blank? There's a
like an agenda.
Yeah, but what's the patronising? That's the word. Fucking hell.
Patronising, yeah.
Patronising tone. There's this sort of passive aggressiveness, and it's like putting us down constantly. They're always like, yeah, but they've built a like brand new stadium, but they are considered the top six. Will they win a trophy this year? And it's always like, shut up. We all know what you're doing, and that's the thing. They always try and set us up for failure on Sky, and they always try and run that narrative constantly. So it's frustrating, and that's why we're going to get into the Liverpool game. It's going to be on Sky Sports. If we can perform how we performed against Brentford, which we're going to need to do that at Anfield, it's going to be a massive game. We can prove the narrative and wrong, and it will be massive. It will be absolutely massive. But I want to talk about the Brentford game. What was your thoughts on Djed Spence against Mbeumo? Because personally, for me, like, I've been a big advocate for we should be getting Mbeumo. We need to get Brian Mbeumo. Like, he'll be next level. I know Djed Spence is unbelievable and really good 1v1 defender, but mate, he made Mbeumo look like shite.
Yeah.
How impressive was him? How impressive was Djed Spence?
I literally saw a stat on Twitter just a second ago. I don't know whether I can find it anymore. About like the amount of times that Djed Spence has been beaten by his man compared to other wingers, compared to other Spurs defenders. It was ridiculous. Let me just try and find it quick. But he was absolutely incredible again. And it's like Mbeumo, Salah now. Welcome to the Djed Spence penitentiary. Like he's been fantastic. Like really, really good. And you know what a way to kind of. I was going to say to kind of, you know, cap off his turnaround, but like to rubber stamp it really in terms of just like performance after performance after performance that he is becoming so important to this club and the manager. And, you know, Ange made some comments after the game, which I think were taken out of context a little bit, to be honest. You know, when he was saying about, you know, it's going to be really important for us until Destiny comes back. I think there was quite a lot of Spurs fans that, kind of pissed the bed a little bit about that, and we're just like, but no, Djed Spence has to stay in the team. Like, it's not fair. Like, it's all this kind of stuff. It was like, yeah, but he's got a squad of players to manage. He should have managed Djed Spence better at the start. Should have managed the fullbacks minutes better at the start. That's kind of why we're almost maybe in this position. And Djed Spence is kind of having to play obviously now, and he's proven himself to be really good and an important part of the team. But like, you can't. He's still got to keep Destiny Doggy happy. He's still got, like, I think the Doggy will play when he comes back. I think Spence, you can make the case for him moving to the other side. But I also thought Porro had a really good game as well. He's got to manage the players. Spence has got to go into that Europa League squad to get him the game time that he deserves. That has to happen. And I mean, we should probably talk about that when it comes to the signings. About, obviously, Spurs have only got 3 places to fiddle around with, so to speak. But Djed Spence was brilliant. Again, that's another top quality winger now that he's just kind of like. And Bowman had that one shot where he got away from him and curled it straight at Kinski. That was it. Other than that, he couldn't really deal with him. And you think about his defensive side of the game, which is, it's becoming more impressive because he's playing on the wrong side. And also, like, when you think about what Spence was at Forest, he was an attacking wing-back. And you always knew that he was going to be decent defensively because of the physicality that he's got and that ability to kind of, on the recovery as well with his pace. But is his defensive side of the game, he wasn't really getting forward that much. He had a couple of bursts forward. Both of the fullbacks really were kind of a bit more reserved. Yeah. It was a fantastic performance, and it's just, it just proves again that, like, there has been some brightness within, within the shit. Like, as in, like, when you think of the Archie Gray, who again was great, like, these youngsters are really, their development is kind of being enhanced as a result of all of this. And you have to go through pain sometimes to see the real benefits of what might happen with this project. And I still don't know whether we are going to turn into this amazing team. Who knows whether we are or not? And that's not important right now. What is important is that we won 3 points and got a win, and moving up the table and just hopefully starting to build a little bit of momentum, because there's been games in the last month. Look, we didn't win a league game in January. We lost every single one, and there was games that we really didn't help ourselves. There's also games that we were a bit unlucky, but we've put 2 wins on the board back to back now, going into a big game on Thursday. And you can see how together they are. You can see how unified that group is, which is a really good thing. And it just kind of does make you a little bit encouraged that, like, that we're going to have shit moments. There's going to be another defeat coming. Absolutely, like there is. Whether it's on tomorrow, I really hope not. But whether it's tomorrow or maybe Sunday, or there's going to be games where we might not look at it or whatever. But at the end of the day, nothing has really changed in terms of the playing squad other than the players that have come in. Some players have come back. There's clouds over the players. Like, they're still going to be tired. They're still going to be leggy. But to put in that sort of performance on Sunday, you have to also, we rode our luck maybe a little bit at times. Spence, it was him clearing it off the line, and then 2 minutes later we go and score a goal. Like, and also lovely goal, by the way, which kind of gets glossed over a little bit because of, like, the situation of the game. Like, Ange ball at his best, playing out from the back, out wide, into the middle, through the middle, goal. Like, it was but to not get away from Spence, he was absolutely brilliant. I think he's kind of slowly becoming everybody's favourite player. It's crazy, isn't it?
Well, yeah, is he our best fullback? Like, this season,
going from this is what this is the
shadows.
Yeah, this
now being.
This is what I just found. So Djed Spence, he's only been dribbled past 3 times in the Premier League this season, compared to Porro, who's been dribbled past 26 times.
Yeah.
Let's just should we do it again? Should we get look at this?
Look at this state of the art.
Come on,
mate, that's incredible. I can't believe we can even do this.
I know.
That's insane. That's the thing though with Djed Spence. Like, you always talk about, especially with our fullbacks, and I know he's had to. There has been errors when he first started playing. There was errors. Remember when we lost to Liverpool 6-3, and he pressed at the wrong time. We got caught out. But that's the thing. He's been growing into himself, and he just looks like quite impenetrable as well. And he's got that not arrogance, that confidence.
Well, I mean, look at that quote.
Yeah, Djed Spence, I back myself against any winger, Salah or whoever, I back myself against anyone. And that's the thing. And Porro has had very up and down season, for the most part, pretty poor, especially defensively. Last season, he was a lot better defensively, I thought. But it's just to have that assurance of, 1v1, I've got Spence, I'm backing Spence all day. And, we signed him probably with that in mind as well. I mean, it was that FA Cup result against Arsenal where he just absolutely pocketed Martinelli.
Yeah.
He was everywhere, and it was like, this kid, his defensive jewels are insane, and I love. I mean, we all have loved Djed Spence, and I feel like the support we've given him has really helped him personally. But to now see him play and perform at his best and be our best fullback this season out of nowhere, it's incredible. And that's the thing. Like, this season's been so negative. To have these shining lights through the season and to be like, okay, well, Djed Spence and Porro, that's going to be a really good battle next season.
Yeah.
Left back, we'll hopefully get left back in the summer, but it's going to be a really, really competitive. Like, we want that competition in the squad where Spence is probably our best fullback at the moment. What's going to happen when a doggy comes back? It's going to be interesting, and that's the thing. You're building a good squad.
Yeah.
Djed Spence has. It's been difficult, but we fight for the manager, we fight for the club, and we all believe in what he wants to do. And yeah, how positive is that for Postecoglou's future as well?
This is the thing. And it's coming out of kind of everybody's mouth, isn't it? From the player side of things, like Kulusevski before the Elfsborg game and everybody else. And also, like, obviously him and... There's been this thing about like Ange not liking him and all this kind of stuff. It's just like, at the end of the day, Ange has got to manage this group of players, and it's not easy to keep everybody happy. And Ange's management of Spence in the fullback situation, I think, was probably quite poor in the sense that he should have been used earlier. It's easy, obviously, to say that, like Captain Hindsight, sitting here saying that, but everybody's been saying it. And especially because of how good Spence has been, it's like, why on earth have we just wasted time with this like gem sitting on the bench? But maybe that time out the team has actually made him more hungry to be able to perform in this way. You just don't...
Yeah, potentially, yeah.
Just enjoy how good it... People need to stop going back on the Spence thing, I think, a little bit. Like, I know I've just said it, and I know I've gone like, he should have been used more, but like I said, Captain Hindsight, like, let's just enjoy him now and enjoy what is to come, and hopefully it's made them realise that how good he is. And also, Djed Spence, I think, needs to do a bit of growing up and maturity in his game, and also maybe in his personality as well, because I think that, people have said about attitude problems, and I know that can be a bit lazy sometimes when you look at players, but there were genuine, like when Daniel Farke was the Leeds manager last season. So, was it Daniel Farke? I always get Daniel Farke and what's the other one mixed up? It was Farke, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
Who's the other one that I'm thinking of? I can't remember.
See, the ex-Huddles, Wagner.
Yeah, David Wagner and Daniel Farke are always mixed up.
Sounds exactly the same.
Yeah, but apparently the reason that they terminated the loan at Leeds was because he wasn't training hard enough. He had, attitude problems and all this kind of thing. I think that loan to Genoa actually did him a world of good as well. Like, different environment, getting out,
out of his comfort zone.
Yeah, somewhere. Obviously they're in Serie A, Leeds were in the Championship, but it's like, it's good to get away and go to a lesser club, so to speak, than Leeds, and kind of just, have to knuckle down and be out the spotlight for a bit. So I think let's just be happy for what's happened rather than just like, go back on the mistakes that were made in the past. He's a very good player.
Well, what you're saying about like Genoa, that switch up from Leeds to Genoa, Serie A is a lot slower, but a lot more of a tactical defensive league. So that would have been good for his sort of development. He was playing a lot of the time on the left wing as a left wing back as well. So it would have been good for him. All this sort of like the vast difference between Leeds. Obviously, he's played at Middlesbrough, Nottingham Forest, Spurs, and then Genoa. You're getting a vast sort of experience, and they're all going to be learning. They're all going to be lessons for him. So he looks just like a very assured version of himself. And again, we haven't really seen him since being at Spurs, so it's exciting for us, almost like a new signing. But it's just massive. And again, clean sheet against Brentford, Kinski, Gray, Davis, Porro, Spence. It's brilliant because obviously we need to carry that momentum in. And this week has been good for momentum going into the Liverpool game, because obviously a win against Brentford, which I don't think we expected that. Obviously against Elfsborg, that win with the youth team shining through, and also I'd say a really strong end to the transfer window. And again, there's definitely ups and downs to this transfer window, but to end strong, which I don't think we expected to do, knowing Spurs and our track record, we did end strong. So we've got a few questions about the transfer window. We're going to get into the Liverpool game after this, and also Ange Press is happening right now. So we're
bloody hell.
We're going to get Van der Ven news. We put Van der Ven's injury. It's so speculative, isn't it? Like we have no idea the extent. It's like.
Did you see me getting grief on Twitter yesterday?
Yeah, because apparently you knew what had happened with Van der Ven.
Mate, it's a load of bollocks. No. So basically, what happened was, I tweeted a picture because on TikTok, like on my For You page, I need to sneeze. Oh, fucking hell. On my TikTok For You page, it came up yesterday that Spurs on Thursday when Van der Ven had played, a picture of Mickey like in the game being like, Mickey Van der Ven is back. And it came up on my For You page yesterday just as I was scrolling TikTok. And I just screenshotted it and tweeted being like, terrible FYP timing. And then I was getting grief from people being like, you shouldn't be spreading fake news and all this kind of stuff. I was like, have a day off. I was just like, it's just a tweet. Like, people were getting on to me about like, because I'm a bigger account, like in quotation mark, that's not me saying that. That's what people were saying. You shouldn't be spreading this kind of stuff. I was like, I don't fucking know what's happened.
No one knows.
I've heard things. You've heard things. No one knows the truth. We're going to find out in a second.
Yeah.
But like, it's just like, come on, lads.
Yeah.
Come on.
So
I'm just a reactive. I'm just a fan.
You're just a fan, mate. You're in the same boat as everyone else. It's worrying because we have no idea. And again, you're going to get a live exclusive on the pod because we're going to find out.
Yeah.
I was looking at there, but we're going to find out very shortly.
It'll be the first question he gets asked, 100%, won't it?
Yeah, 100%.
So, Ange,
100%.
Team news? Well,
Yeah,
mate, you know.
Van der Ven's out forever.
Yeah, Van der Ven's never playing a game for this football club again, mate.
But we got Danso, so.
Yeah, Kevin. You know, Kevin's a great guy. He's been training really hard, mate. And
light training, pulled his hamstring.
yeah, and like, did you see that tweet yesterday? It was like Matisse Tel and Kevin Danso took part in a light training session.
Yeah, light training.
Yeah.
Why not full training?
We've got a cup semi-final tomorrow. What's going on here?
What's happened? I actually got worried. I mean, to be fair though, and let's use this as a segue getting into the transfer window.
Yeah.
Brought in Matisse Tel. Kevin Danso, obviously Kinski, but he's more of an established Spurs player now because we threw him straight in at the beginning of Jan. But
almost feels like Kinski didn't happen in this window, doesn't it?
Yeah, it really does. It feels like it's been ages. It genuinely feels like it's been ages. But the thing is, they're gonna have to start slow because it's so explosive. You have to really get attuned to this way of playing, this philosophy. Tel has hardly played football this season. He's sharp because he's been coming off the bench and stuff. He's probably match fit, but the vast difference between coming off of the bench for Bayern Munich for the last 10 minutes and starting in that press against Ange Postecoglou's Tottenham is massive. Danso, the full sprints he's going to be doing, he's got a lot of pace and power. We're going to be relying on that to compensate for the Van der Ven missing. So it's a big ask. So light training I can understand. But going into the transfer window, what does this window mean for our season? Because obviously they're coming at the deadline day, a few days before the deadline day. We've lost a few league games in that time. But obviously Tel wasn't an option before the last week. Danso apparently we wanted earlier, but we had to wait, and then it happened because we got a cheaper deal on him. But from now until the end of the season, obviously, regardless of the Van der Ven injury news, we don't know yet. What does this window do for Tottenham? Ben's just dropped out, so I'll sort of get my ideas on it, and then I'll ask him again. This season, I think it's massive. I think it's absolutely massive because the only thing that's going to get us through the season is our cup competitions and league form. League form should be there to build momentum. Like, we need to build on momentum. We need to build on wins. That's why Brentford was so good, because it's in between cup games. But we need, with Europa League, and that's the thing, beating Manchester United to this signing. Man United, I know they brought in Dorgu, but he's a bit of is it anomaly, because we don't really know how he's going to adapt to the Premier League, how he's going to adapt. Obviously, he's a young player coming from Syria, could play for Man United, Premier League football. We have no idea. But beating Manchester United to Tel, because Man United have lost Rashford, they've lost Anthony. I know they've been off form, but their numbers in the squad for multiple competitions, they're going to be, and they didn't replace them, so they're going to be low on numbers straight away. So to get Tel over the line and beat Man United to them when we're fighting for the Europa League competition is huge. And I'm so positive about these signings because I'm just looking at that these the Europa League, FA Cup, League Cup, and it just excites me. So Ben, what do you think this window does for this season? These players coming in, this reinforcement, because I really think, and Postecoglou said it himself, these new signings, they build us back up. They give us energy. They give us life.
Yeah. I think so. I definitely think that. I think Tel injects something into that. I mean, we'll talk about Tel a bit more as a player in a bit, but I think in terms of the overall window, the picture of it, I think, again, it's a little bit like the summer. Like, the individual players that were brought in, I'm really happy with. And we had a question from Jack about Johan Lang.
Yeah, we'll get into that. I've got that written down. Paratici versus Lang.
And I'm happy. It's just, I think the negativity around the window comes about how late we did the business. I don't think, to be honest, you can throw that at Matisse Tel, because it was an opportunistic signing that very nearly backfired, and I think highlighted some of the problems with our transfer strategy, in the sense that it really didn't feel like we were going to get an attacker over the line unless it was Tel, you know? I know they obviously went very big, very, very big, and fair play, they tried. But it wasn't enough to get him to come in the first place. But they kept persisting. We got that loan deal over the line in the end. Obviously, Ange was the one that was the difference maker in that scenario, again, when it comes to these players. I think the negativity around the window comes from the fact that we still might not have done enough. January is difficult. It is difficult, but it looked like we were sort of scrambling around to try and get a centre-back over the line, or another centre-back over the line, which kind of added to the anxiety around Van der Ven, because it was like, well, why are we going for two all of a sudden rather than one, with Romero and Van der Ven so close to kind of being back on the horizon? Apparently that bid for Gay, he came on the Friday. But again, that stuff annoys me with Spurs, because it's just like, there is no way that is happening on deadline day, or the last couple of days of the window. There's no way. Might be one to look forward to for the summer, maybe, potentially, but I think there's going to be other people in the race that will properly kind of graft for it. Like, I mean, Newcastle laid so much groundwork with Crystal Palace last summer for that deal. Obviously, it didn't happen, and Palace were turning down big money. I think he's only got 1 year left on his contract, Gay, in the summer, so their position has been weakened, but Palace are going in the right direction as well. It's not going to be easy to get that deal done, because they might throw money at a new contract for him. You just never know. And someone else might come in for Eze, which could potentially scupper that deal for Gay. Who knows? But I think, again, a bit like the summer, I'm really happy with I'm happy with what we have done. I'm not necessarily happy about how it happened. Yeah. And also, I think we've still left ourselves a little bit short. I think that is the case. I still think, bear in mind how much we wanted another defender. Like, we only got one over the line. To not be really... I know Paul O'Keefe said the other day that Spurs apparently looked at 8 centre-backs in the window. You know, I'd imagine a few of them would have been for the left-hand side as well. We still haven't been looking at a left-back, which I find crazy.
Yeah, that was the big negative.
I can hold off on the defensive midfielder thing till the summer. I think that's fine. I do think that's okay. It's not fine, but it's like, I can understand that. But again, with the actual... with the players, you can be excited about the players that have come in 100%, especially with Tel. I think Danso's a solid defender. I think he's with Dragusin out, that's Dragusin's season done, obviously. And I think Danso, obviously I gutted for Dragusin in terms of, sometimes, I've been harsh on him. And I think there have been moments where he's just not been good enough and not up to it. But I don't necessarily think it's necessarily his fault. I just think it's more about the fit. And also, he's a very young defender. This is a guy that's younger than Brennan Johnson. So I think the way that some people have kind of maybe reacted to it is a little bit, harsh or over the top to say. But, that's the only thing I would say is that as much as that is the case, one thing that I will say that might sound a bit harsh is that it's going to really limit our ability to get rid of him in the summer. Yeah. Like it is. And I think that's something that probably needs to happen as well for him and for Spurs, because he's clearly not a great fit. Whereas I think Danso is is a better fit.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think it's hard to find a perfect defender for Ange, but I think Romero and Van der Ven are the perfect defenders for what Ange wants to do. It's just that like the limited availability is a huge problem, obviously, and I think Danso, in terms of what was available, I think is that's, from what I've seen and what I've read, I think it's nearly as good as you're going to get. So I'm pleased with the signing. Obviously, again, the way it was framed as kind of a hijack, was it really a hijack? Would Spurs have had that? Announced it on the Sunday morning if all of a sudden he was going to Spurs on the Saturday night? I think maybe that was maybe being worked on for longer than was reported potentially, but who knows? Maybe that's maybe you're just saying that out of hope of making Spurs look better. I think the Tel thing on Friday was that we just made ourselves look so desperate. Yeah. And I think we are desperate because the reality of the situation is we were desperate. We're at the end of the window trying to scramble players across the line. We chucked the money at it, obviously using Bayern's financial position that they owed us the money for Kane for as leverage a little bit to take advantage of them. And that's fine because I think Tel is a real talent. I do think I'm really happy with the signing. I'm really, really excited by it. And I think all these Man United fans and Arsenal fans that are coming out these last couple of days saying that Spurs fans are getting too excited and ahead of themselves, I'm pretty sure you lot were all gagging for him. I'm pretty sure Arsenal fans were like, this is the market opportunity for us. Go and get him. We need him. All of a sudden, and Man United now, all of a sudden Spurs have had their pants pulled down because we're paying £10 million for him on loan. It's not our fault. Your club has got itself in such a PSR state that you can't afford a £5 million loan fee. Because you could make an argument that Tel was better suited for United than us because he's a 9. He's more. I think he's an inside forward. I think he's kind of can play off the left, can play through the middle, long-term future as a number 9. But United ain't got that money to throw at him to potentially buy him. There was no way they were getting a buy option in there. Spurs have done really well in this deal, in my opinion, to get it done. It's just frustrating, obviously, that this happened so late. Obviously, have you seen Johan Lang's interview? I haven't watched it yet.
I haven't even bothered, to be honest. No, I actually think he's a bit of an NPC. And there is a question. I'm going to give you this question.
Let's do it now.
So we got a question from Jack Enochow. He says, "I'd like to see a comparison between Lang. Fuck, how do you even say his name?
Langer, I think.
Langer. I'd like to see the comparison between Langer and Paratici. Feel like Langer has gotten a lot of unfair criticism for his transfer business, especially how late we did it this January. Paratici got praised so much for getting Deki Bentancur on deadline day, which, that is...
Good point.
This is true. And so I'll sort of kick us off here. I think the comparison... Danso and Kinski was very Langer. That hotel saga was very anti-Langer because it was such a public humiliation, and this whole thing of Langer working in the dark and then it happening really quick. I think this is the whole Paratici, the transfer from Paratici to Langer. You couldn't have asked for a more extreme juxtaposition, I think, in the way that they both work. Paratici's such a little slut, mate. He's flirting with every single club. He's so out and direct on who we want. Multiple signings. He'll agree a few things and then he'll press the trigger on one of them. Langer, you have no idea if he's on holiday, if he's working his arse off on a deal, or if he's sat at his desk rubbing one out. You don't know what he's doing. And then all of a sudden we've signed someone, or we haven't. So, but if you look at the track record, Langer, the young signings under Langer have been incredible. They have been so positive. If you're looking for 5 years' time, where we've been let down, obviously, is the established, ready-made players ready to go. Obviously, Solanke coming in. Tel was a bit of. I'm guessing he's going to be a bit of a both. I think he's going to be thrown straight in. A lot like the young players have been thrown straight in because they have to. But I do think he will upgrade our team significantly coming in straight away. That's what I mean by that. But Paratici's sort of talent ID, getting that right sweet spot age, I think, was very, very good. Yeah. And Paratici's. So I think that the comparison is coming at a bad time because it's so extreme. That difference between them was so extreme in how they work.
It couldn't be more different.
It couldn't be. But I think Paratici, his ban ends in the summer, doesn't it? I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Or does it?
Yeah,
I see a world where they come in and they work together. Yeah. Langer works for the next 5 years and getting the best recruitment in for this, and we find a sweet spot between Paratici getting but getting the established players, maybe more experienced players, even though he did get in Kulusevski, Doggy, Sarr, not Vicario, I didn't get Vicario, but yeah. And then Langer getting in the players that are going to be perfect for us in the next 3 to 4 years, like he has been doing. But the only thing is that it's the difference between that working in silence gimmick and that is your up front centre. Everyone knows you're telling journalists to report certain things.
Yeah.
That I think there'll be a bit of friction there, and I think they'll clash. I don't know why I'm doing this, like I'm wanking both of them off.
But rubbing one out under the desk like Lang.
that there'll be a bit of friction there, I think. So I think in an ideal world that would be perfect for Spurs for the now and for the future, but I don't think it would actually work. So maybe we just keep Paratici as a consultancy, going forward, and Langer goes ahead with it. But what do you think with this sort of? Do you think the criticism for Langer's been justified, or do you think it's been a bit unfair in him? Because, I mean, it took Paratici to. It's not Paratici. It took Postecoglou to have a phone call with Tel. Apparently, Langer's presentation wasn't good enough.
Well, it's amazing what happens when you get the football man on the phone to do the talking, isn't it?
Yeah.
This is the thing that I find frustrating is that I think some of the criticism of Lang has been unjustified, definitely. And I think it's come from a place of frustration rather than anything else. And I made a video on Saturday on my YouTube channel saying about this is arguably one of Tottenham's worst ever transfer windows because at that point we had not signed anybody, and that is not good enough. That is negligence of the highest order. considering the injury situation that we find ourselves in. Obviously, we've got a couple of really good deals over the line after that. Danso literally happened that night or the following morning, and that's great. A lot of that criticism still stands, though. Stands in terms of, like, we weren't quick enough. Then again, they could then flip the argument around and say, well, these are the players that we wanted and we got them. Doesn't really matter when it happened. That's true. And they would say, yeah, but it also hasn't derailed our season that much because we're still in these cup competitions. We've got people in for that second game against Liverpool and Villa. This is what we're looking forward towards. Fair enough. The dominoes are kind of fallen in that way. Fortunately, probably a little bit for them. And the thing is, I've never been drawn into this Johan Lang working in silence thing that much. I don't really care. I think Paratici was. I think it was almost too. I think people get so excited because they get the mini dopamine hit of the transfer rumours every 5 seconds when Paratici's here. Whereas, like, I would rather at least, I think you know where you are a little bit more under Lang, I think. And I think in an ideal world, it would be great if they could kind of both work together because I think Paratici had his eyes on a lot of top talent for Tottenham. And, you know, I remember Paratici was really hot on someone like an Anthony Gordon. I think that's someone who he should have signed at the time.
Perfect.
And again, hindsight's a powerful thing. I don't actually think he was a great fit for Conte, but he'd been an amazing fit for Postecoglou. Like, I don't think you could find a more Ange winger than Gordon. Like, did we speak about this yesterday? I feel like.
No, we spoke about it on the call to Seb.
Yes, yeah, we did, yeah. But yeah, I'm a bit bored of the Lang thing, to be honest. Like, I don't really care. Like, I was very frustrated about the transfer window, and I still am. I still don't think it's been great. Like, I still think we've left ourselves a little bit exposed, definitely, considering the injury situation. I don't think we've maybe done enough, but I also think they do. You can't not give them credit for getting the deals over the line in the end. You know, you can't just completely ignore the good work that they have done. I think it sits somewhere in the middle for this window in terms of how it's played out. But the Paratici thing, the Lang Paratici thing, I don't really give a shit. Like, I don't really care. I think Lang's, like, in terms of, there's clearly, you know, we do need more ready now players. We do need more improving quality, 100%, absolutely. But that doesn't mean that you should totally neglect signing younger prospects and younger players. And I think that when you look at the quality of young players that have come to this football club since Lang has been the director of football, you can't really argue with that. And, like, everyone gets so caught up on the now. And I think that gets even worse when you are in the situation that we're in. And it's like, yeah, it's great. It could be great next season, but we could go down here. I think that stress has been relieved a little bit, obviously.
Yeah.
But I sit somewhere in the middle on it. I don't really care for the debate that much between them two. Like, they've both done good things for Spurs. I think that Lang is, like, a little bit. They're just different ways of operating. But it is a slightly worrying that, you know, they weren't able to get that Tel deal over the line, and it took Ange to kind of pick up the phone and be the one that moved the needle. But like I said, it's amazing what happens when you get the football man, and, like, no, this is how I'm going to use you. Yeah. That's what players want to hear, especially if they're going to be, especially if Tel's big thing was game time. He wants to hear from the manager. He doesn't want to hear about the. I think, obviously, he would value the ambitions of the long-term project, absolutely, because there is a chance that he could sign for us in the summer. But that wasn't really the case at that time, whereas, like, Andrew's got on the phone and gone, no, this is where I'm going to play you. Like, this is why I think you could do really well in the Premier League. I think you're a really good fit. I think you could cause these defenders havoc and all this kind of stuff. So that's what players want to hear. Yeah. And how many players that have come to Spurs have signed and said, yeah, no, I had a really good conversation with the gaffer. Like, it's, you know, I really want to be here and that kind of stuff. And it's like, I still think Ange, for as much as he's got his limitations and as much as I get frustrated with him sometimes in terms of that lack of adaptation in games and that lack of problem solving, I do think that to be the guardian of this project, the project is bigger than Ange. It absolutely is. There could be another manager that comes on and just Ange becomes the guy before the guy, maybe, which that could happen. But I think Ange is a really good guardian for this group. I really think that is the case. And we've just been a bit unlucky, which is why they needed to do more and do it quicker, especially when you think about how they accelerated the Kinski deal. Now, you can't use that as a yardstick. Not everything's going to be that straightforward. But, you know, it is what it is. It is what it is. We didn't do enough in the summer. We probably haven't done enough in this window. But again, I'm happy with those players. I think Tel could be a superstar, genuinely. I'm not saying it's going to be a superstar on loan for us, but I think in terms of, like, if we're able to nail him down to a permanent deal, like.
But also, we were desperate in January for a catalyst. We needed a catalyst, and I feel like he could be that catalyst. I don't think he should have the pressure of hitting the ground running. No way. But just having that bit of maverick, or that bit of someone who can just absolutely whack it into the back of the net.
His ball striking is a joke.
Yeah.
Can I just say very, very quickly that we have got a Van de Ven update?
Okay, go on then, go for it.
I've not seen the full. Oh no, Kevin Danso and Matisse Tel are available for Tottenham's Carabao Cup semi-final second leg against Liverpool, but Mickey Van de Ven will miss the trip to Anfield. Ange said, with Mickey and Romero to a certain extent, I kind of feel we have to be conservative with them. Mickey got through the game against Elfsborg all right, but I don't think he feels ready for the step up in intensity to the Premier League just yet. Or yet, he said. Having Kevin is a massive bonus for us. Van de Ven hasn't re-injured the injury. I think we feel, and he feels, we need to get more into him.
Okay.
So
That's
it's
good.
probably just more
That's really
training
positive.
and just it's positive.
Yeah. And actually, you're thinking about him we're going to get into that because we'll talk more on. Well, we've touched on Dragon. Let's come back to this Paratici Langer thing. Just to say, that I think that's really sensible. Now we have got Danso in. I know he's not a left-sided centre back, but he has got a lot of pace. He's very athletic, and he is an ultimate defender. So you kind of. It's obviously a downgrade because Van de Ven's such a unicorn, but you've kind of got someone who can cover on the right hand side and maybe have Davis as the aggressor, and just that high line you can carry on playing it to an extent with that same sort of efficiency. Because
I suppose we'll get into it. We'll talk about the Liverpool game, but it's going to be very interesting to see what he does now in terms of that centre back partnership.
Yeah. I feel like. I mean, Gray's been performing so well at centre back. I just think you need to chuck Danso in because we've got for him for a reason, and he will be able to play this system 100%. But I just I'm happy because I do not want another. I think we got burnt for that Chelsea game, chucking them both in. Obviously, it was an important game. I think that was unlucky, but it was like a high chance that maybe it could have gone wrong, and it did, and I think we need to just manage him because he's such a valuable player, but also we need to think about his career because we cannot have him like a Ledley King be injured for the majority of the season. When he comes in, he's our best player, and then he's injured again. We just can't have that with the way we play and the way we rely on him. To the point where, I mean, it doesn't sound like he's going to need surgery. Maybe we monitor him all the way and then give him surgery over the summer. But I don't know.
I think that could happen. Yeah,
I think that will happen because then he can just sort of just recover and then be ready, like a Doggy has. I know a Doggy didn't really look like the same player, but that's the thing. He was just getting into sharpness and he got injured again. But I think we need to really be mature about this and go about it in a very sort of conservative way. We can't just let him explode back onto it because he'll pop again. So I'm happy with that news, to be honest. It's a bit of a setback because we want to see him. We're excited, but
at least we've got Danso in that can
exactly. But do you have anything to say on that before we go back to the Paratici thing?
No, I think you're right. I do think you're right. I do. Part of me does wonder whether they will give him an operation maybe in the summer if they feel like that's something you need. It's going to be interesting though because the way that Ange just said that, our next run of games they're all intense fixtures. It's not like we ain't got an Elfsborg, to chuck him in for 45.
We're beyond that now this season.
It's Liverpool. It's Liverpool on Thursday. It's Villa on Sunday. It's Man United next week. There ain't room to. I'm not saying this is the wrong approach, by the way, from Ange. I think that I like the fact that they're being uber sensible about it and careful, but we ain't got any Elfsborgs left. True. Every game is crunch for Spurs. So it'd be interesting to see how they actually manage him. It's going to be very interesting to see what minutes he plays over the course of the next month, if any. Yeah. I hate to say that, but you could still see a world in which he don't play at all in the next 3 games for Spurs.
I think everyone's just terrified that he's just going to come back, he's going to pop. And you cannot have that because that is, I mean, how many games would he have played this season? It's the same with Romero. I think we're now thinking, look, let's not rush. They've had a few setbacks. We cannot just rush them back in. We're going to have to be patient. And that's the thing, that short-term pain for long-term gain because we can't rush them back in and they've been gone for such a more significant time. It's tough because we want to see them because they're so good and we're so much better when they're playing for us. But it's just, I mean, actually, how good has Archie Gray been? The fact that we're like,
it's been unbelievable.
Do you know what I mean? It's like, well, we're thinking Davis is back now, Archie Gray, Danso. I feel like we can just about hang on and cope until they come back, and then kick on in the summer. But
also, one thing that's been kind of overlooked there is also Romero. Like that, what is going on? Like it's just, I feel like I just don't know what's happening with Romero. I really don't know what's happening. It's just a little. That's as worrying as Van de Ven. Really, I think Van de Ven it's more worrying because it's like you can see that it's a hamstring thing, and you've seen him go a few times, and you've seen him like you're just gutted for him because it's just like it's the same thing, and you do wonder whether. I hate to say it, but I really wonder whether Mickey Van de Ven is going to become the next Reece James, going to become the next Luke Shaw, someone like that. Maybe that's just perennially injured. And maybe exactly this system. That's crucial why we bought Danso, though, because it means that you have actually got more of a like. They're not like for like, but Danso is more Van de Ven than Romero.
Yeah.
So if we can find a Romero, if Romero does go, or bring in another centre back in the summer to add to that back line. I mean, I can't see it being Mark Gay if Romero stays. I don't think Spurs will outlay that money on another big centre back, especially with Vuskovic coming in potentially as well. I think Spurs will sign another centre half in the summer, but it won't be Gay or it won't be a Mark Gay size signing if Romero stays at the football club. So that I think it's so tough. I just don't want him to be the next. I really don't want him to be the next Reece James. I mean, because it's so frustrating as well. Because when you look at Chelsea, right, how many times have Chelsea like when Reece James comes back in the game for him, and he's straight away, it's like he's just so good, isn't he? Like it's just so good, and it's such a shame. And I'd hate to have that with Mickey.
Yeah.
Part of me feels like we're already there. I really don't want to go over the top, and I don't want to be reactionary, but it's just like I'm worried.
Yeah. Well, I would say that with Reece James, they would just throw him straight in because of how good he is. So maybe we just need to sort of look around us, look at these situations, how they've sort of turned out with Reece James, etc., and then just be quite just smart with the Van de Ven thing and just ease him in. So
hopefully it's a case of just a few more weeks on the training pitch, just getting him keeping him kind of ticking over, and then I'll be honest, I am worried.
Yeah,
I am worried.
Yeah, me too. That kind of makes me think that Gay... I mean, with Romero's injury record as well, who's going to want him? Like, Real Madrid's centre-back's always injured. Romero would fit straight in. Like,
Militao ACL.
Yeah, Alaba's always injured. Rudiger gets injured. Like, do they want Romero? Or will they be like, actually, you know what? I don't know, because he's hardly been fit this season. And maybe Gay... Like, this is the optimistic in me. Because of Romero and Van de Ven's injury history, Gay coming in who can play either side is like that player where the level doesn't really drop.
Yeah.
That would be the smart thing to do, but I do think we're going to sell Romero. I want to go back to the transfer window because I want to say one thing on Paratici before we move on from that. And but I think Paratici was a little bit overrated because, like you're saying, some of the moves he would make would be questionable. But the little dopamine hits of Tottenham tiers posting, "Oh, we're interested in him. Oh, we're also interested in him." That would sort of compensate for who he's actually signing. And I know he signed Romero. I know he signed Kulusevski, Bentancur. He also signed Galini, Emerson Royale. Like he wasn't perfect. But he was very upfront, and it was just exciting. We didn't know what was going to happen next. Whereas we're always waiting in silence for Langer to get his business done. So I do think it's just more exciting with Paratici. But also there would be moments where we were interested in Dan James, Adama Traore. We were interested in that whole Romero saga. The three players we would have signed if we didn't get Romero was Zuma, Tommy Assel, and Milenkovic. Like, Milenkovic has done well, but he wouldn't do well for Spurs in the system we're playing right now. He'd be useless. And I have got a question about the summer. This summer, because we're talking about Gay, we're talking about centre-backs possibly coming in. What do you think this January transfer means for the summer? Because, I mean, we'd have to complete the 45 mil buy option for Tel, hopefully, if all goes well. 25 mil for Danso. That's 70 mil already, maybe plus add-ons. That's coming out of our transfer budget. I know Tel is to do with the Kane money, so it's almost what we're not spending. We're just not going to be getting that money from Kane, so that money's not really going out, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And 25 mil for Danso isn't actually that much in today's market. So 70 mil is a little bit exaggerated, but it's still there on paper. What do you think this... So how far do you think we are from being a complete team under Postecoglou? Because obviously, regarding outgoings as well, I think everyone kind of is hoping for Richie to move on. Players like that. Maybe in Basuma. Maybe there's a little bit of a reshuffle. What do you think we need in the summer for us to be like, okay, let's have a go here?
A number 6. A number 6.
Who's that, do you reckon?
Rodri?
Yeah,
Good?
he might be a bit like
Injury prone, though, isn't he?
Injury prone, fit right in, mate. Yeah,
I don't know. In terms of names, like, I mean, do you see Cardozo sign a new contract at Betis?
I've flip flopped on Cardozo, so I'm not really fussed about him.
I think good squad player. I don't think he's anything more than that. He's not. He's not going to move the needle that much.
I think we need to kick on with a 6 now. Though.
Yeah, I think it's got to be like a Belieber kind of. I mean,
that was it.
We're 14th in the league, and we ain't signed a fucking Belieber.
Europa League, though, if we win the Europa League, we have Champions League. 60 mil bid.
100. Yeah, he's not going to go for 60 mil though.
Throw in Gil.
Fine. Why don't you can have Johnny Cardozo.
Mate, that's perfect.
We'll forego our buy option onto you.
Yeah, clever.
You can have some of the sell-on fee if you like as well. There's something in that. It's like
100% in negotiating.
And then we'll have Belieber, and you can maybe have Cardozo, like if you want.
So you've got Mats Vifar, you've got players there already. Won't even be that much for me.
Jack Hinselwood, mate. Did you see? Like people want to moan about Ange and his mental tactics, right? I know this. Not to move away from Spurs for a sec, but look at this, right? We're going to the screen again. We're going to the tactics.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Look at these Brighton average positions from their game against Forest on Sunday. If this on Saturday when they got beat 7-0, if this was Ange, look at this. Look at that. Look at their average positions. That is fucking mental.
Oh my god. Mate, there's a Lily Phillips shaped hole in the midfield.
Mate,
after the 100 man.
This front line is the queue for Lily Phillips meet and greet. They're just queuing up there.
That is yeah. But Lily Phillips is number 41.
Yeah, just in the middle. Help me.
That is nuts. That is a joke. I mean, no wonder they lost 7-0. But I mean, Belabor would be quality. Someone on that sort of. I mean. I know Lily White Labs was talking about is it DR something like that. I was actually on Spurs Kings, and Ash Matic was talking about him from is it Las Palmeiras or something, or he's on loan from Sporting Lisbon. He looks like a kid that he looks almost like a new Belabor sort of, but maybe a little bit more aggressive.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I have no idea. But we do need number 6. I'd say I'm Team Semenyo now. Massively team.
Oh mate, Semenyo's unreal.
Semenyo would come in and he could play like across everywhere. I even think he could play the Kulusevski position just because the way he progressive carries. No one could really beat him off the ball. I think we could mould him into that. He could also play as that more of a 1v1 specialist on the right.
I also think the trend of recruitment. Yeah, I also think that's the thing. I think the trend of recruitment in the Premier League is going physical. It is going massively physical. So I think Semenyo has got both. He's got the skill and the fit. Yeah. I also think Tell's got that a bit. I know he's 19. Look at his frame, mate.
Yeah, he is physical.
Yeah. My favourite goal. Should we talk about Tell now? I feel like we need a bit of a move.
Yeah, let's talk about Tell.
My favourite goal that he scored for Bayern last season was the one where I think it's against Freiburg, and he there was a cross that was like cleared, and it comes to him, and it's like looping over him. He's going for a duel with the defender. He goes, "Fuck off!" And then the quality of the touch to just spin it then round and then just arrogantly whip it in the top corner. I was like, he's got a lot. There's some.
I know what goal you're talking about.
Yeah. It's in the purple kit, and he just whips it top bins. His ball striking is a joke. Andrews just said some stuff on Tell. He said, he's got the attributes to play as a 9 and can play wide for sure. We'll probably need him in all areas. We have problems in our front third, and we have 3 wingers out and a striker. We'll probably still have 11 players out tomorrow.
That's nuts, isn't it? Yeah,
where do you think? I mean, I made a YouTube video talking about it on my channel, so go and watch that if you like. But in terms of best position, what do you think? How do you think it's going to play out at Spurs? How do you think he's going to be used?
Well, if everything goes well, I mean, you just did a TikTok video, didn't you, about on Pletterberg saying he is. Trust me on this. He is a striker.
Tottenham. He is a striker. He's not a winger.
Trust me, okay. I think he will be the Son successor.
Yes.
Eventually. But the fact that he can play is that, we can sell Richarlison, I reckon we could sell Richarlison for the same amount of money as we signed.
To who?
Saudi, mate.
Yeah, he's not going there though, is
Everton, mate. We're getting Jai.
That'd be great. I'd love that. And Jai's a baller, man.
Everton would take him. Everton would take it.
Not for 60 mil.
Nah. 35 mil plus enjoy, mate.
And we get. Should we do some sort of believer like what we were just imagining with
What do you mean?
Like, as in, like, how could we make that? You know how we were talking about the believer deal?
Yeah, you get Johnny Cardoso, but you'd have to pay 21 mil, but then you get the selling clause, yeah. And you get Richarlison for enjoy. That's a deal. They get 2 players and spend 21 mil, and we get enjoy.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. But that whole thing, I think, long term, Son's successor. I think next season it could be where Son takes a bit of a back step as well. If we sign that out and out right winger, and then all of a sudden you've got Son off the bench, who's more fresh, who can actually make an impact. You can have like Johnson off the bench. These can become bench players, and that's like a good trajectory for our team, because you want your team to become where your starting players become your bench options, and that's how you generate an actual more of a competitive squad instead of signing bench players for your starting 11 sort of thing.
Yeah.
But I mean, he could play. I think he'll fill out and he will play striker eventually. Like, that'll probably be his best position. But like you were saying about the physicality. So imagine we had like Semenyo, Kulusevski, Solanke, and Tel as our front four. Like that physical dominance and technical ability is exactly what we.
That sounds good to me, mate.
That's exactly what a Premier League. That combination of physicality and technique and technicality. But I do think, and I think you said this in your video, he'll predominantly probably play on the right.
Yeah, I think
because who else is? I mean, unless Kulusevski goes right, we play Tel as maybe the striker and Son left, or Tel left and Solanke up front when he comes back, or Richie up front.
I think he'll be used as a striker for now, and then I think I like I said in the video that I made yesterday, his best position for me right now. Forget Tottenham. His best position, I think, is as a left winger. Yeah. I think long term. I think Lily White Lab did a thread on this as well. I think he could develop into a really good number 9. Yeah. And I think if he does sign that buy option, having him in place as a Solanke successor, given the fact that Solanke's 27 and Tel's 19, you know, in 5 years' time when Solanke's not here, you've got a 24-year-old striker with the world potentially at his feet. Who knows? Again, this is all potential, but we've also seen him live up to some of that at Bayern. He scored most of his goals from left wing last season coming off the bench. And I think that's one thing that you have to factor in, is a lot of those minutes were off the bench against tired legs when Bayern were already winning the game. But that also doesn't take away from the ability that he has got. It can't do. But it's a caveat. It's a pinch of salt to be added. A little sprinkle of salt just to be added on the top. But it shouldn't dominate the conversation. He's a very good, talented footballer. Yeah. But I just think that it might not be the most exciting way to use him. But I think on the right-hand side, when everybody's fit and available, I think he's an upgrade on Johnson technically, and also just in terms of, like, people keep saying to me, I made a video about it, like you said just now on TikTok, and I had a comment being like, it's a bit bullish to suggest that he's better than Brennan Johnson when he hasn't kicked a ball in the Premier League. It's like, yeah, but I'm just talking about his attitude. I think he's brave. I think the biggest thing, forget all of the technical stuff and forget his ball striking, forget his 1v1 ability, which is really good as well. It's his bravery, from what I've seen, in terms of just like, no, I'm going to face you up. I'm going to fucking go past you. He's direct, and some of the things that he does off that right hand side, where he'll start wide, coming off the touchline, and then go and beat the man. He'll come in and look for the ball rather than just hugging the touchline and then just maybe playing it back to the fullback, or kind of just like not really facing it. I think that is what we missed. We really missed that bravery. And like, the title of my YouTube video was how Matisse Tel fixes Tottenham's attack. And people, the kind of average person who's maybe not a Spurs fan might look at that and go, yeah, but you've scored fucking loads of goals this season. It's not about that. Yeah. It's like, yeah, but our attack, for me, is still quite dysfunctional. I think we've been saying that all season. We've got really good individual quality. And I think, look, I think there was a stat yesterday. It was like, Spurs have got the most amount of players in the Premier League that have got over 10 goals. I think it's like Maddison, Solanke, Son, or like, it might be all competitions, or 10 goal contributions or something. I can't remember what it was. But Spurs are the only team with 4 players that have got 10 goal contributions in the Premier League. And it was like, yeah, you might look at it and think our attack isn't dysfunctional, but it is. And I think Tel fixes that to an extent, just in terms of that profile. I also think one thing that could work really nicely is having Odebear maybe, again, this is a bit of a pipe dream, because God knows when we're going to see that little boy back. But because I miss him, I do miss him.
I do miss him.
And they're big mates as well. Did you know? Did you see
mates.
that? Massive mates. Odebear starting games on the left, kind of running and jinking in and out of players, and then Tell's on the bench, and then comes on for half an hour and goes, "You're tired. I'm going to bully you."
Yeah, bully.
Yeah,
he is a bully. I think he is a bully, a bullish defender, attacker. Sorry.
Also, if you think about how towards the start of the season, especially, Ange wanted to use Son and Udogie down that left-hand side, where it was quite clear that Son was having a bit more freedom to come into central areas, and Udogie was going round a little bit more rather than last year. And Son plays that touchline wing and didn't necessarily suit him as much. If you can get Udogie to kind of do what he was doing at the start of the season and allow Tell to be a little bit more of an inside forward, driving into the middle of the pitch, that's where I think he does a lot of his best work from that left. I think he can play as a touchline winger. I'm not sure you're going to get the best out of him there, and I'm not sure you're going to get the best out of him on the right. But in terms of improving Tottenham's attack as a whole, I think that's a good solution, playing him on the right, personally.
Yeah, I think so. It is going to be interesting, but the fact that his versatility is going to be massive, and I talked about
that's key in January as well. When you're looking for body, for
exactly,
players.
because he can be three players. He can be like what you're saying with the striker. He will fill out, and he will be a bit more dominant as a striker, but even his movement looks smart. Like that goal against Man United in the Champions League last year, these against Premier League defenders, he just peels off of the man at the back post, touches it down with his knee, and instantly volleys it straight into the roof of the net. It's just it looks so elegant, it looked effortless. He just seems so natural with a lot of his things. His directness is so natural, and he is just a natural footballer, and that's what Brennan Johnson doesn't really have. He's a pure footballer. And that's why he can grow into a massive player for us. And I genuinely think, and we've talked about it before with the going for players that play for a big club, that sort of strategy in the window. Look what it did when we signed Kulusevski. His mentality he transferred over to Tottenham. We need to change this DNA. We've got young players. We can't let them become that we can't let that contagious losing DNA affect these players. So Tell coming in, transferring that winning expectation alongside Kulusevski, I mean, I think that them two will form a formidable relationship if Kulusevski's in that 10 role, and they're linking up on the wings, or if he's up front and Kulusevski's sort of linking up with him off the right. I just think I'm so excited for the signing, because he's just one of those players. You can see the ability he has, and you can see him just filling out even more and becoming more and more confident with game time. And that's the thing. He looks like another player, a little bit like Bergvall, where he's got every single mineral you need to be a top player. All you need is game time, and just iron out your flaws, iron them out with patterns of play and consistent game time. And I think that's what's going to happen with him. So where do you think he starts against Liverpool? We've obviously heard from Hester that Danso and Tel are available for the Carabao Cup game. Do you think he starts off the bench, or do you think he's thrown straight in? Because I expect him to be thrown straight in, maybe off the right, because it's also that sort of, right, you've come for game time, you are starting, and I trust you. Try and build him up, get that belief in him, get that confidence that he obviously has in himself. I'd say Son, Tel off the right, Kulusevski 10, Solanke, Bentancur, Bergvall, I think.
Yeah. I think he could be thrown. I just think I was watching Richarlison that game on Sunday, and I think he battled really hard in that first half, to be fair to him, and he's obviously clearly struggling still. Second half, he just massively went out the game, and I just think he's not ready. I do think Richarlison, there's a part of him that's not ready to play consistent 90 minutes. Play up front, so I think he might play up front.
Kulusevski off the right, Bergvall cam, and then Bentancur and Bissouma or Gray.
Sorry, if you can just see the table lifting up a little bit there.
Because that's a lot more solid as well. Because obviously we're considering that we're 1-0 up.
Yeah, I think he's got to go Bentancur and Bissouma. Maybe he goes ultra conservative and goes Bentancur, Bissouma and Sarr. Nah,
I think Bergvall deserves to start maybe attacking mid.
I think he still goes Bentancur. Yeah, I think he might go Bentancur and Bissouma.
Yeah, Bentancur.
I would quite like to see that. I actually thought they both played. I thought they both played well on Sunday. Them two. I thought Bissouma had a good game, and I was a bit. I know Sarr came on and scored the winning goal. Yeah, it'd be interesting to see what he does. On the centre, actually, there's been a bit of some of the quotes around Van der Ven were not quite. It's all changed a bit now. Let me just quickly.
Oh, really? What?
It sounds like
a twist.
It's a twist in the saga. Apparently, Ange just said that he's a doubt for tomorrow. On the Spurs website, Ange Postecoglou has revealed that Mickey Van der Ven remains a doubt for Thursday's Cup semi-final against Liverpool.
Oh,
he got through.
Could start.
He didn't say the initial quote ruled him out from the Athletic, but I don't think he's going to play, but I think it sounds like he's not going to risk him. Essentially, he's just being very careful, which people are still going to moan for that. Danso is available though, which is good. They've both got their work permits. It sounds like
I'd start Danso. So
do you feel like it's so harsh on Gray though, isn't it?
Well, that's the thing.
Because I think Davis has to. I would play Davis. Would you?
I'd play Gray right back. Just for
I
that.
thought Porro had a good
physicality.
game on Sunday.
I know, but again, Porro needs a rest as well.
Yeah, but this is the biggest game of our season.
I just think Gray is better than Porro as a fullback.
Do you?
Sorry, not as a fullback. Defensively.
Yeah, it's going to be Gakpo in it. Yeah, maybe. I think he starts Porro. I think he goes with his best available team, which is really harsh on Gray.
Maybe Gray comes in midfield, or do you think that's a bit of a moot because he hasn't played there? Like Benson called Gray.
Wouldn't hate it, but I think he'll go with Basuma.
Yeah, a bit more experience.
He took Basuma off for 25 minutes to go on, or 20 minutes to go on Sunday. Benson played really well against Brentford, I think, as well. Don't get me wrong, both of them, they both do my head in, them two, Benson and Basuma, because they are quite inconsistent. But I think Benson did you see all that stuff about the stuff that came out
becoming a
about
leader.
the leader and all that kind of stuff, which I don't doubt as well, by the way. I don't doubt that. I think Bentancur's got to play. I think he should play.
This is the thing about signing players. Now we've got a good problem with the fact that the team doesn't pick itself anymore.
No, really don't.
There's competition. So Gray and Sarr off the bench is very good for when we're getting tired and we're battling because they're both very energetic, very athletic, and coming off. I think that would be a good move for us. Maybe I would start Danso and Davis. Spence, Porro. I think maybe that's the way we go. Basuma, Bentancur, Bergvall. Again, it's harsh on Gray, but I just think maybe off the bench, that bit of defensive energy in Gray, Sarr off the bench could be massive.
He also said on Van der Ven, he said, "Is it?" I think Ange asked, Alistair Gold asked him, I think, saying, he asked whether it was more of a fitness thing or whether it was a discomfort thing, and he said it's a bit of everything. He got through the game no problem, but had a look at stats. Premier League is a whole different beast, and after losing Radu, I thought what we had ahead of us, don't get me wrong, we have some big games ahead, but also afforded ourselves a couple of clear weeks. Hopefully we're in a final of a Carabao Cup. Hopefully we're still in the FA Cup, and I don't see sense of risking us. Having Kevin in is a massive bonus, and he hasn't re-injured, but he feels like he needs to get more same with Romero, get more into him. So just sounds like he's being uber careful, which is obviously good.
Yeah, it's good. But we got a question here from JP2 Putts. He says Vicario or Kinski against Liverpool, because we've heard that Vicario is back in full training now and he has been for a week. Do you throw Vicario back in or do you just trust Kinski? I mean, considering the first leg, it was his debut and he was absolutely incredible.
Yeah, well, he's not said anything on Vicario. Did you see that thing on the BBC?
Yeah, BBC.
Yeah, he's saying he's back basically. I think he'll go with. I don't know actually.
Maybe he surprises with a bit of Vicario, a bit of leadership, but
wouldn't hate that. I'll be honest. I like Kinski. I do like Kinski.
Anfield's a different ball game as well. Anfield. I mean, we saw Kinski at the Emirates, and it kind of. I mean, he's a young player. It kind of looked like it got him in his head a little bit with things, but Vicario, that bit of. Also, Vicario's he's an animal, mate. He's gonna have a point to prove because Kinski has been good. So Vicario coming in being that hungry, but I think he'll play Kinski. But I actually don't mind either way. I mean, again, it's like we're in a good position all of a sudden with the goalkeepers because I don't care who's in goal anymore between the two of them.
I think it's going to be very interesting to see what happens in the summer. I think Vicario comes in and gets his spot back straight away in the league. Yeah. But I also think, did we have a question about the Europa League?
I'm not too sure, but with the numbers, I kind of feel like Kinski should be our Europa League goalkeeper and leave Vicario out.
I think that's I disagree. I think Kinski should come out of the Europa League. I really like Kinski.
Then, I think Kinski play in the league.
I think Kinski in the cups maybe as well.
FA Cup. Also, he starts at Carabao Cup.
Yeah, but Kinski's also very young. Like I think I think people will. I really like Kinski.
Yeah.
And I think there will be a battle in the future between them two in terms of who becomes the number one. But I think it's a bit like the Doggy Spence thing. People kind of like, as much, I'd love to see Spence carry on getting games, obviously. But I think Vicario is, I don't think Andrew will be sentimental over it from the summer. And I don't think he'll be sentimental about it now. I think it'll be whoever's the best fit. But I also think that Vicario is a leader in this team.
Yeah, that is
I do think. I think Vicario is someone that we could have done with during this period.
He's a big presence. He's a big presence.
Kinski's done well, don't get me wrong, but I do think Vicario is someone that could have helped during this period as well, just in terms of having a bit more. I also think people are getting in their own heads a little bit about, because they've seen Kinski come out and punch a few corners, that Vicario is all of a sudden the shittest goalkeeper in the world when it comes to dealing with. Do you know what I mean? Like,
maybe
Vicario's last game for us was a brilliant performance at the Etihad with a broken fucking toe or ankle, broken ankle. Like, so I don't know. I don't really care. I'm happy to trust what Ange does, but I also I like Vic. I really like Vic.
Maybe Vicario for Europa League and Premier League, and then Kinski for Carabao Cup.
Yeah, because if you think about it, would you rather have, put it this way, would you rather have Tel, Danso and Spence in the Europa League, or would you rather have Kinski instead of Spence?
No, Spence needs to be played. We need to share these minutes out, and Tel, Danso, they're going to be massive for Europa League. So, and also they've got European experience with Tel and Danso. Like Danso's best performances, like that, been in the public eye, has been Champions League.
Played really well against
Arsenal,
Arsenal, didn't
defender. He? Yeah, he did. And again, he's got that. That's like I said, experience. So, I mean, Kinski. That's the thing. We're in a very, very fortunate. I don't know. Fortunate position with the goalkeepers. All of a sudden, with Vicario coming back, it's like a good problem to have. And again, that's what we want. That's what we want. So I don't really care, but I get what you mean about having that leader in Europe and also the players know Vicario. They know what he's about. I feel like Kinski as well. It will be coming in when Romero and Van der Ven come back. Kinski, again, I think his ball playing ability will really, really show with next to Van der Ven and Romero. But they'll have to have a new relationship where Vicario, Van der Ven and Romero, they know each other's games inside out. So yeah, it's a good point. I do think he'll play Kinski against Liverpool.
Yeah, I don't think.
I don't think he'll chuck Vicario straight in. Maybe then Vicario plays in the league. I think that's how it'll be. But yeah, exciting. We've got a little bit of momentum back. I feel like at Spurs.
Yeah. Are we back? Are we fucking back, Will?
I think we're fucking back, mate. Second half of the season, we're going for a title charge. I actually think, though, because, again, the league is a write-off, but the league's there for momentum, gaining momentum,
I actually agree.
And bleeding players back into the fold. And all of a sudden, and that intensity that they're going to gain from the league, you can transfer that to European games. You can transfer that into... And also, we can try new things. Brentford, we parked the bus for the majority of that game. That's something we're going to need in cup competitions later down the line.
Yeah.
When we're holding on, and it's an all or nothing game because we could be knocked out. So the league can actually be a more experimental process for us till the end of the season.
Yeah.
We can get Champions League through Europa League. We can get silverware through Carabao Cup and the Europa League. FA Cup. What was I saying? Yeah, FA Cup, maybe. There is a lot to be positive about. And again, we've had criticism, but it's way better being on this side of being positive and acknowledging the negatives instead of living under a dark cloud and not being happy. When we just signed Matis Tel, mate. Unbelievable recruitment. That is. You've got to put your hands up and say that is an incredible signing for the now and for the future if we do activate that buy option. I mean, which it probably will because it's a 6-year contract. That's been a mutual agreement.
Yeah, Georgia Killier has done like some God's work here. We'll go back quickly to the conversation about the squad registration. Is he saying here that we can get them all in? Is this what we're talking about? Oh no, he's saying Kinski's going to come out. So Danso in the Premier League, that is what our Premier League squad will look like. Because Danso counts as homegrown for the Prem.
Oh yeah, he does. Oh
come
my
through
God,
at MK,
mate,
didn't he?
Fallen upwards.
But for Europe, they would, unless. Hang on a minute.
Take Dragusin out.
Tel Danso. Yeah, I think the red ones are coming out. But I thought we could only register 3 new players.
Werner's out. Yeah, we've got to get rid of him.
Because he's swapped 4 here. Oh no, he's taking Kinski out as well. Oh no, hang on a minute. No, I'm reading this all wrong. Yeah, that makes sense. So Werner, Forster, and Dragusin would come out for Danso, Tel, and where is he? Spence. Spence is here. Yeah. So there'll be no Kinski. This is kind of what it probably will look like. Yeah. Or what you could do is take Spence out. I know because Kinski still. If Kinski, what he could also do. Oh no, he could take Odebear out actually and put Kinski in. I think is that
Odebear though. When he comes back, it'll be crunch time, and we kind of need that enforcement off the bench, whereas it's very unlikely that Vicario is going to get injured again to that extreme level. And I touch wood because anything can happen in Spurs, but again, we've had along with the consistent injuries with muscle injuries, we've had some freak injuries this season with Vicario, Dragusin. We've just been really unlucky in that regards. Like that's nothing on Ange. There's nothing you can do about it. So I feel like Kinski coming out is probably the safest play because we're going to need Odobert if we're through to the semis and the final. We're going to need him to come on and be that spark off the bench, or when we're trying to break down a low block, have that trickster off the bench. That is God's work.
Well done, George.
Yeah, fair play. Legend. But yeah, lot to be positive about. Massive game tomorrow. Everyone, thank you so much.
Friday's podcast could be generational if we win this.
Oh my god, it could. Could be fucking terrible.
Yeah. just read that and believe.
Yeah. That's Postacoglu's put anyone listening on audio. Thing is though, this competition is our lifeline at Anfield. Oh my god, Trent Alexander-Arnold is out. Which
he actually didn't play in the first game anyway, did he? Bradley started. No, he came on.
Didn't he? He did look a little bit dangerous though. So if he's out, that is big for us. I wonder how strong they will go. Obviously, they're in the league.
They've got Plymouth at the weekend, mate.
Plymouth at the weekend, they'll go strong. So very nervous at Anfield. Before this transfer window, I was kind of thinking this could be like Newcastle away, where they absolutely obliterate us. But again, we've gained that bit of confidence, that bit of momentum. That I feel strong in the fact that we can harm them on the attack. It's just whether we're smart and I mean the performance was perfect against Liverpool at home. We've had results where we've been very disciplined. We need another disciplined performance going into this game. That bit of booster from Tel, Danso, these players that have something to prove coming in. That could be a lifeline. Like genuinely, it's going to be such a battle. But we've got that. If we can get a draw, oh my god. Are we onto something?
Are we back? Are we going to win the treble, the cup treble?
Mate, imagine that. Genuinely imagine that. I don't know. But yeah, massive. Everyone, thank you so much, Ben. Legend.
All the best, lads. Up the Spurs.
All the best. Up the Spurs. Thank you very much.
Nice one. Bye.